Hey YouTube, we're here with a quick repair update on the Timber UMX. As you know, it's been awesome. I tried repairing this little area here and I had some success using this material here. I don't know if you guys can quite make that out. But what that is a paper towel that's soaked in CA. And what was happening is the landing gear are striking that as they wiggle when I do one-wheeled landings and things like that. And so obviously reinforcing the landing gear would probably not be a bad idea. And you can see here this one cracked, which is a bummer. But it's not the end of the world. That I will fix as well. And it's very easy to fix. But I wanted to show you how I did this because it actually worked well until I had one rough landing today. So let's get started. In my case, I use paper towels, but you could use another material if you want to get a little more strength out of it. And I just cut a small amount. You don't want these little edges like that, and you don't want this texture necessarily. So you'll just kind of, in my case, I just rub the fabric together and it takes that right out. Don't go too crazy with it because then you'll take the fibers apart completely. And you just want it so it's smooth. See how it ripped, guys? So we'll see if we still have enough. But you obviously want to just use it if it's going to work. Okay, so what you're going to do, it's super easy. You can either take the landing gear out for this. For the sake of being able to see what the heck we're doing, let's go ahead and pull the landing gear out. It's a Phillips screw here, screwdriver. So in order to take these out, and from my personal experience, you don't have to actually put these screws in, but I usually do. I have a magnet here. It's going to keep those from getting lost while I'm doing this. And then that plastic, I'm going to actually let that stay with one of the screws. And they're labeled left and right. And that's the left or right of the plane, obviously. Not the left or right of you as the person working on it. And they are different. So don't think they're the same, guys. They are definitely different. So in my day with UMX planes, I've reinforced a few of these and have had decent success doing it. These are probably one of the more robust sets of landing gear that I've had on a UMX. And what it comes down to is this point where everything hinges. So if you decide to reinforce that, it's not a bad idea. But for now, I mostly want to just stop the damage from getting any worse. And this is a super light solution, and it does work. I just didn't make them big enough. If I can get my old pieces off, I will. And it doesn't feel like it's going to come off real easy. And this is a good method if you have a belly lander. The reason that mine didn't hold up well is because I already had a recess behind where I applied this. If I would have done it off the bat, it would have helped to be a little bit more effective. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get both pieces out of this, so I'll just have to cut this down. Okay, so I'm just going to basically lay this on here, and just below the decal. You don't want to get on top of the decal. But I'm just going to press it in there, just kind of get a dry fit, make sure it's going to look good. And this will mostly disappear. So you could use thin Bob Smith Industries CA, which would work fine. And it works pretty good for this because it soaks in nicely. Or you can use medium. In my case, I think I'm going to go with thin. If you get a cap that likes to get clogged up, they won't snap back on. So you can kind of clean them out. It's important to do that because that'll keep your tips from clogging up. But then you'll get it to snap all the way down. That keeps your glue from going bad, the CA from going bad. You can actually take a drill and clean that out better even. See, now it snaps all the way down. It's actually snapping on these 3 bumps. And there's a little ring inside there that catches it. So in case you're wondering how that works, you'll want to have something to soak up excess. And you'll probably want to have kicker. You wouldn't have to have kicker for this, but I'd highly encourage you to use kicker on this. This incidentally is a good way of protecting your servo covers too, if you wanted to do that, because it would look a lot like the servo color, or the wing color rather, as opposed to these clear ones. I'm not sure why they chose to use clear on this application. And a Q-tip helps a lot too, because then you can spread out your CA. So what we'll do is we'll use, in my case, a little bit of this thin CA, and what you'll do is you use that as your initial bonding point. Just put it along one side or the other. Okay, let it soak in and just kind of push it down. And you can either kicker it now or you can kicker it later, but for now I like to kind of walk back and forth like this, and that takes all that texture pattern out, or a great deal of it. Then you can actually come back from the other top side there, put a little bit more kicker in, or I mean a little bit more CA rather. Sorry, I misspoke, guys. Now I'm going to wipe a little bit under the back side there, and that'll hold it down. Now you'll notice I'm pushing down with like the flat spot instead of the cottony spot. Okay, so now time for kicker. Just a little bit of kicker on that one side. And the idea is you want to keep moving in case it would stick. You'll be able to break it immediately free. Okay? And then now that it's glued from the bottom, you can actually, probably should have put that stuff off to the side, except I need this to wipe up spills. You see I've got that little lip there now? So that makes it super easy to get in here and just backfill it. It's not really hard, this process. It's just more a matter of doing it. And it works really good. You see that weird different color? I don't know if you guys can tell in the video, but it changes almost like yellow, like a dog peed on it. And when the chemical reaction's done, it'll go back to being white, or whatever color you your paper towel was. I must warn you, if you get too much kicker and you make this reaction too fast, even though this is foam safe, you can actually make it so that it will break your foam. I'm going to lick my finger, which is gross, I know, but that's a good way to know for sure that it's not going to stick to you. Okay? And it's done. And there you have it, guys. It works super well. I did it on my Airbus, but that was before I learned about getting the texture out of it. And this will be like one of the stronger parts of the plane now. But it does come with a cost, and that is weight. So just don't do it everywhere. You won't need to. I'm going to show you. I'll pause it and we'll do the other one and then show you the finished product. Okay, so while I've got this gear off, we've got this crack here. And I wanted to show you how I've, in the past, taken care of this. It's about as easy as it gets, guys. You basically get the crack to close tight, and then you're going to come at it with some CA. Now, you don't have to use the thin stuff, but the thin stuff works good when you have a smaller crack. I want to just I'm going to skip a couple steps, because usually the thin stuff will break a few more times, but I want to just put in the gap filling stuff here. This is not foam safe here. This is a Bob Smith Industries CA, and it's medium for thickness, and it is not foam safe. So basically, then I'll just put a drip of kicker on here and just let the kicker have it work, and hold it for about a count of 5, and it's pretty much held together. So now the key is I want that to be strong and sturdy, and I don't want to have to constantly be fixing this. And so you're never going to guess what I'm going to do, guys. It's going to be really complicated. I'm going to cut a triangle that's of approximately the right size, and then I'm going to trim it to an even better size. And then I'm going to trim off the little end, and then I'm just going to make sure that it's flat. And this works really nice because it uses the fiber to hold everything together, and you get a lot more surface area on your glue. So it's super effective. Okay, Okay, so we'll just cut that to kind of mimic the shape. And I gotta trim this just a little bit more. I'll probably trim it up a little bit. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be a very big piece because you don't want a huge patch on there. You just need it big enough to get the job done. And since we've proven to have a weakness here, then that will take care of that for us. Although I want it to mimic the shape a little bit closer. So you guys get the idea. So we're going to do the exact same process we did on the bottom of the fuse, except we're not going to use foam safe. So we can just go a couple zigzags on there, and this time we'll just touch it down right in the corner. And ooh, shoot, it's fighting me on this one. Lick your finger. If it fights you, you just kind of got to get it down quick. That'll be fine still. It bit right there because I already had some kicker in there. So now you can actually take and rub this excess off if you want. The stuff that didn't actually absorb any of the CA. And then that will make it really strong. And I'll probably do a second piece on this because it's plastic, and plastic is going to be more brittle. So we'll pause and get that one cut this time. Okay, so we got this one piece cut here now. So we'll just make sure all the kicker's off of there by wiping it a couple of times. And then this time we'll have a super strong piece because we've actually got a double layer in there. So this other piece will help to hold. Okay, so just let it stick down and then fall. As it falls, then you're going to take and squish it in with like a Q-tip. And it works super good, guys. It's very strong. Now you're going to come into the center of your workpiece, and you're going to put a little bit of CA and just work it to the edges. And this is one of those situations where it's going to get pretty stanky, so plan on it. Okay, so we'll just press that down, and we'll just do a little bit. You remember I was telling you stuff gets kind of yellow? I'm going to try to show you on this one. When you apply the kicker, the chemical reaction happens. Okay, so watch this. See that? I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's also quite toasty. And you see I'm just taking the nozzle out because sometimes when you spray it, it just gets everywhere. Okay, lick your finger. It's very hot still from the chemical reaction. Now that thing is super strong. Certainly not without any compromise in brittleness. But you can actually do that to strengthen this joint here too, so that it's got a little bit more resilience. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so coming back to the plane, we're just going to drop this back into the plane, into the fuse, and just verify where everything hits. Okay, so we need to make sure we don't get too crazy, because we do want these to be able to splay out a little bit, and we want to be able to move forward and backward just a little bit. But what we have to do is we would want to try to strengthen that a little bit in this corner. So it's very easy to do that. And then, as you guys know, I will let you see if this works well or if it works poorly. And you can use just plain cotton for this too if you want. I just find it easier to work with the paper towel material. So what we'll do is we'll just get a little bit of glue on the actual area where we want to thicken it up and strengthen it. Then we're actually going to use the shaft of the screwdriver to kind of spread that into the fabric. And we can wipe that off quick. And then just one little drip of kicker. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to then wrap tight this little area here. Okay? And all we're trying to do is just strengthen this one little turn. Okay? You can do this a bunch of different ways too, but this is just the way that seems to make good sense to me, because it's super easy. And what we'll have to do is we may even have to take some of this material off here in a minute. Okay, so now just let the CA do its job, which is to fill in the fabric or the fibers. I'm going to apply a little bit to both sides in this case. Dang it, guys, you see I got some on the tire. That's a bad place to get non-foam safe. CA. Ah, wiped off, thank goodness. Okay, so now you'll notice that's going to be a lot stiffer than this side. It's hard to tell, but it's going to be, because once this gets into the frame, it's going to compress it. So we'll do the other side and we'll come right back. Okay, so we got both sides taken care of now. So now we're going to try to put this back in, and we're probably going to get a little bit of trouble because it's not going to want to drop back down into the same exact spot. But what do you know? It still makes it down. So we're going to see if we can get these covers back in real quick. Okay, so this one says R, so it's going to go on the right of the aircraft, which is here. But you'll notice that it's popped up because we have thickness here. So now I just have to deal with that somehow. So we're going to pause it and I'll tell you how I do it. Okay, so I just had to take a little bit of material off of this joint here that we use to strengthen our landing gear. And it worked super easy. I just took and ran it along here on both sides. And then that's going to give us enough thinning effect to drop this down in where it belongs. Okay? So then we can just put in our regular pieces. And just follow left to right. This says R. And you can tell there's a difference by this angle here. So that's interesting because that looks like it should go this way. Alright, so while I get these screwed in, I'll give you a final shot. Okay, so there you have it, guys. We got the landing gear back in there. Right where they need to be. A little bit more stiff than they were before, but not so stiff that they're going to be obtuse and cause all sorts of grief. And then you can see there's just a little bit more thickness there for strength. But we didn't gain hardly any weight. I'd be surprised if there was half a gram worth of total added weight. But that stuff works really nice for belly landers too. We decided to do that. But anyway, there you have it, guys. Just wanted to give you another quick tip on these UMX Timber. It's a really good plane. It's got to be one of the best ultra micros out right now. So if you don't already have one, go get yourself one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check the links below if you want to help support our channel. Buy from the affiliate links.